Hello and welcome back. So today I'm playing with a new mixed media Medite surface. So this is new for 2026, the fourth one in the set of mixed media surfaces. So it comes with the hanging mechanism for the back. You've got the frame, the bit that comes out the middle if you need that, and then you have the backing piece like so, cut from 3mm MDF, so you've got quite a bit of depth there for texture. You can add all sorts of other stuff in there, and it is 18 centimeters long from top to bottom, so that's just over 7 inches I think, and width wise it is 140, so just under 5.5, so it's fairly decent size. I'll just pop that back in there because as you can see I've already got one to play with over there. So let me just pop that on my desk and grab my coffee because I've forgotten all about that. Right, so I've already gone through my collection of resin casts that I've got, and I'm hoping that that's not too bright and it's not all bleached out. I've gone through my resin casts and I've put together a little composition that I think is going to work on this frame, apart from that Tim Holtz chip word, which is just the word Relic, which I thought would go quite nicely on that. So I'm going to put that to one side. I've already taken a photograph of the composition that I've put together on my phone, so that I've got something to refer back to later on. If I can't remember where I was going to put something. So once you've actually worked out what your composition is going to be, that's the best way to do it. Is take a photograph of it on your phone, so you've at least got something to refer back to, and then you can just tip it all off like that. So what I like to do with these is I will glue this down to start off with, and then I'm going to paint it first, and then I'm going to glue it down so that I've got in all the nooks and crannies in there all sorted. Let's grab a brush. So it's another warm day again today. I haven't got the air conditioning on because noise, but I have got the door open to my workshop, so there may be people wandering around, as in Ian walking past my door. So he may pop in and say hello, as might the fur babies. Mr. Nippy or Mr. Bentley might pop in and say hello too. In fact, there you go, Mr. Bentley's just heard his name, so he's just stuck his head around the door. Bless him. So Mr. Nippy was very poorly yesterday. He had a very, very poorly tummy, and we don't know why, because he's not eaten anything different to Bentley unless Nippy's found something in the garden and he's eaten that. But he seems to be all right today. I think he's had breakfast this morning. There's no food in this bowl, but that doesn't mean to say that he's actually eaten that. Bentley could have, because, you know, that's what they do. They steal each other's food, don't they? Actually, our two are kind of really, really good at sharing. But, you know, if there's food left and it's there, you know, I think it's just too much temptation for Bentley to withstand. As Oscar Wilde says, I can resist anything but temptation. All right, so coat number 1 on the background. Let's get that quickly dried off. Okay, that's dry. So all I have to do now is to grab some glue. I should have had that upside down first. Oh, look at that. It's just throwing itself all over. So like I was saying, this is the fourth in the surface frames now. You may remember I did a couple last year. I did a haunted dolly frame using one of these, which I've still got on my wall actually. I'll just grab it in a second so you can see while this is drying. I just need to make sure that I get these lined up properly. Points lined up there. I'm not worried too much about the glue. It'll wipe off with the brush in a little while. There we go. So while that's doing its thing, I'll just grab a wet wipe, wash my hand and grab one of them. Well, I did see it. Literally, it was right there, and I thought to myself, oh, that's one of those frames. And then I've had a bit of a tidy and put it away somewhere. Oh, there it is. Right, so let's just grab those ones. So that was one of them that I did using the resins, the frame. So that's is that the same as that one? Oh yeah, so they're both exactly the same. So that's one of those as well. So again, using one of those surfaces. There are circle ones, there's an oval one, and there's the rectangle one. And now there's the Baroque Gothic style one, which you can see here. So that's that one. All right, I'll have a quick tidy up, a quick clean up. I'll clean up this mess here. I won't say mess, just literally just grab a brush, then I can go in and just remove any kind of excess glue. I mean, it will dry clear anyway, so you don't really need to. But if you don't want any of that glue to set and create additional texture, then this is probably the best way to do it. And because it's warm today, this stuff is pretty much drying really, really quickly. The grab and go glue was specifically designed to work with MDF to do exactly what it says. It grab almost straight away, so you can it will grab and you can just wander off and leave it to set. But it does mean if you do want to remove it, you've got to do it pretty quick, because it does dry, like I said, very, very quickly. See, that's already grabbed. There we go. Has it moved a little? No, I think that's okay. Now that is literally dry enough, just in those few minutes, for me to come back in now with the brush and give that a second coat of the gesso, or a top coat of the gesso anyway. So with it being kind of Gothic, you can use it for Halloween makes. So you could easily substitute, you know, a lady for a skull or something like that, or something spooky, big spider, you. Or even use the bit from the middle, and you can, if you've got one of those kind of spooky postcards or a ghostly postcard or whatever, you can always, or a cabinet card, you can always draw around it, use it as a template, and then stick a spooky face in there, which would be fun, which I might actually do for a second project with this. All right, so again, second coat, give that a quick blast. Sorry, I'm laughing because I've just overheard Ian arguing with his Alexa. Right, so that top layer is now dry. That shiny bit you can see in the corners is where the PVA, the grab and go, has dried. Dried clear. So I have actually stopped and had some lunch while that's been drying. So I've got this little pot of indigo blue super thick slap it on. This is a a sample pot, mainly because I'd run out and they didn't have any of the large ones left in, so I just had to grab a quick sample pot last time I was there. So I'm just going to take some of the resin pieces and stick them down. I've got my photo in the background, my photo over here of where everything needs to go, so I can refer back to that if need be. So I just want to make sure I do this fairly quickly because, like I said, it's very, very warm today, so I don't want it all to go off. So let's put a crown up there. And then we had that clock face there. Butter that. So that's going to go up there about the 10 to 2 mark. So with it being warm as well today, so I've got the next door neighbour's grandchildren are visiting because it's obviously the school holidays. So they're playing in the garden. They don't visit very often actually. So obviously Grandma and Grandad are entertaining while the holidays are on. Alright, so that one goes down there. And then we'll place this one down here. Yep, that one goes there. Again, just trying to make sure it's not really critical, but I just need to make sure that I've got everything the way that I want it. So perfect, just like that, just like that. Very nice. And then this little piece here, which almost looks like a little bunch of grapes. Slippery little fellow. There we go. And I can brush off the excess in a second. There we go. Got to remember that it does dry completely clear, so we're all right with that. And now I can start to put my main pieces on. But before I do that, I want to paint it all. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave the middle piece, the main focal Egyptian piece there, and then start building up the flowers on this side. So that one comes down here, I decided. So that can go under that. Just like that. Just have to keep waking my screen up because it keeps going to sleep. Nobody's touching it. Alright, so it always lands butter side down, doesn't it? There we go. And that one's going to go in that corner there. And I'll pick up that little piece there that we've just not kind of wasted. But waste not, want not, as the saying goes. And then the next one is going to go up here. That one's going to go about there. So this piece I want to tuck about there. Right. I think out of all of the little tasks and jobs, this one's probably the most finicky of doing these kind of projects. And that last flower there. But also, it's the most fun bit. Finicky, but fun. And that one's going to go just in there like so. And I've got one last piece. I think, yeah. Alright, so that can go into water, and that's going to go just tucked in between those. Right, so that's all those base pieces stuck down. So I'm going to let them sit and dry for a bit. And I'll just clean up any of the excess glue that's squidged out in the meantime while that's drying. And then I'll be right back when it's time to add on the next layer of gesso. Okay, so all stuck. I did add one more piece right in the middle just to create a little bit of a bridge for the main figure or the main character when we stick that down. So now the next job is just to paint all this in the black gesso. Hello.
Hello. Sorry.
Are you hovering?
Yeah, I just come to steal three heads.
That sounds really weird, doesn't it? So Ian recently bought some spooky dolly heads. There you go, right into the middle. There we go. Yeah. For me to use in some of my projects for this year's Halloween videos. But you've actually found a use for them yourself, haven't you?
This is Katrina the fortune teller. It will be.
So, you know, I've already said to him, well, you know, you bought them.
There's two left anyway. At the moment.
Yeah, it's two left. So I said, well, you bought them, so if you can find a use for them, you use them instead.
Thank you.
Right, no worries. You know, I've got other stuff that I can be using, so it's not a problem. And there's still time to order some more as well, because they came really quickly. I think these are, they're not from China. They can't be from China because they arrived too quickly. I think they were here within like 2 days. So is either found a supplier on Amazon or something like that for them, or Etsy or something like that. I didn't ask because, you know, he paid for them. It's none of our business. So, right. And as soon as he bought them as a present, even though I was going to use it himself, you don't like to ask, do you? Right, so we're nearly, I don't think we're going to need, that's still a bit moving, that one. May have to check that. This small flower here just moved when I painted it, so it might just need securing again before I add either a second coat or before I start adding the final top coat to it, of which I've not yet decided on the colour palette. So, but I've still got time to think about it before I need to commit. Alright, so just got the crown to do at the top. It really doesn't take long. But what I always say is once you think you're done, you've finished, just once it's dry, never do it while it's wet. I'll tell you why in a second. Once it's dry, just hold it up to the light and then look at it from every conceivable angle that you can to see if you've missed anywhere. And the reason you don't do it when it's still wet, because when it's wet it's shiny and you can't really tell whether it's the light glinting off the wet or whether it is actually some of the material that's underneath showing through. So leave it till it's completely dry and matte, then you can see whether or not you've missed any. Like I've missed some under there. So just whiz round, look at it from all conceivable angles that you can to see if you've missed any. And then when you're happy you haven't, then you're ready for your last and final top coat. But I've got to let that dry for now. All right, so as you can see, that's all dry. I've gone ahead and I've already painted my main focal character, or the main focal steam queen. This was from one of the Finnabair silicone molds that she released a couple of years ago, called Steam Queens. So I've gone ahead and painted that and dried it off, just because you've already seen me do this, you know, 10 or 11 times already today. So you don't really need to see it again. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to put a splodge just on the top there. Do it so it's actually in camera. I'm saying there and then not showing you where I'm doing it. Just down there at the bottom, because that's where it's going to catch up here and down here on the actual main frame. And I'm putting quite a bit in. And then I'm going to take a big splodge and I'm going to put it on top of that main piece in the middle that I added on just to create that bridge in the middle. And then I'm going to just drop that down and slide it into place. There we go. And you can now see it's obviously all uniform, one colour. Just give it a quick squeeze just to make sure that there is contact there. Yep, I can see it, that's fine. And then I can let that dry, which shouldn't be too long, because like I've said before, it is a very warm day today. And then once that's all dry and set, and there's no danger of it moving, then we can crack on. All right, so I've just turned the air conditioning unit off. That's the sound of the water draining away. It's not me. Right, so time to start adding the layers of colour. Now I've brought out some of my Luscious pigment powders and some of the gilding gum. So I thought, well, you use those on here just as well as you can any of the waxes. But it depends on what colours you've got to what colours you want to put on. And I think I'm going to stick to like golds, old silver for highlights, and I'm going to add some burgundies for the flowers, and maybe some of the peacock colour on the main kind of character. So we're going to stick to the waxes, I think, today. But look at all the bristles coming out of that one. This is a really old brush. So I'm just going to just gently start adding some of that wax to it, just to kind of pick out on those highlights down there. And then you can go in really strongly if you want to with your colour, bearing in mind you can go over the top with another colour later on. So if you're wanting your base colour to be really quite strong and have that kind of gold in the background, then that's what we can do. Oh, blimey, this brush really is shedding bristles, something chronic. So I'm going to come in with the gold, like I said, just to add that first base layer. Just then you can see all the details kind of standing out. It is still moving a little bit, but that's okay. That flower that was moving was that one there, so that's now secured. So that's pretty much kind of like the base colour. So already that's started to kind of look a little bit like aged brass or old brass, but in fact the bristles are just falling out of this now. This is the reason why I bought some new ones, which were these ones, because I knew the bristles were starting to fall out. So that's the first colour. So before that dries, we can now start coming in with some of that other colour. And I'm going to come in with the burgundy. You can tell it's warm. It's expanding out of the tube. And a smaller brush. So I'm going to use this one, which is a softer brush. And then start to add some of that warm colour on the flowers. So I'm hoping you can see that colour starting to pick up. And then we can just leave it for a minute or two and then come back in and add another layer, or just move on like I'm going to do, to make sure that those bristles don't stick in there. Some of the bristles from the previous brush I've got wedged in. That's it. That's come out now. And again, don't worry too much if you think you've got too much on, because you can always come in again later, either wipe it off or add another colour over the top. It just has to dry for a little while. It's usually about a quarter of an hour or so. So that won't spoil where it is. Now I'm going to come in with some of that peacock. And then with a different brush. Now I'm going to start lifting some of that colour in the main body. And I'm just brushing very, very gently. I'm not going really, really hard. Just to add a little bit of that colour elsewhere. Just real gentle surface brushes, and I'm trying to stay away from the flowers. And then old silver. I think I'm going to clean that brush. Right, if you've ever wondered how to clean a brush, do it with alcohol. That's how you remove wax from a brush, and from your surface actually. There we go. Alright, so the silver, if you think you've got too much on, just grab a bit of a tissue and just take a bit off your brush. And then you can start to lift some of that colour back off again. I'm just brushing against the edges. We're just going to go all the way down the middle. Pick a bit more up. And we're literally just catching the edges. And just lightening as we're going. I don't think I want to do any more on that background. Just very, very gently on the crown. you know what? I think I'm going to stop there. I think I've actually done enough. So let me just have a quick tidy up, clean up, and then I'll be right back. All right, so there is the finished frame. Gothic style, and also a little bit steampunky. So the only thing I need to do now is to add the hanger to the back. So this is how it comes. So all you do is you pop out the 3 pieces, and then you just glue the squares onto the back there, and then add glue onto that, flip it over, and then just glue it on the back. Somewhere in the top half, you don't want it halfway down, you want it somewhere in that top half, and try and get it as level as you can. Otherwise, you're going to be hanging it on the wonk. So let's just grab some glue. And because you're going directly onto the bare wood, it really shouldn't take long to grab. There we go. And I can turn that over and just lay it down, and that'll just hold that in place. Hoping that's in the middle. Looks like it's in the middle. Just get a ruler. Yeah, pretty much in the middle. And then just flip it over and drop it down and let it dry au naturel if you want to. So there you go. That is my Gothic frame for today. A mixed media Gothic frame. And what did I forget to do? I forgot to add the relic piece. So I'm just going to add that on now. Shall I put it right in the middle, or shall I drop it down on
Talking
here?
of relics, hello. Oh, that's beautiful.
I think there is just exactly where it needs to be.
That's beautiful.
And then there we go.
Is this a new back?
Yes, this is the new Gothic surface,
Nice.
Medite surface.
That's beautiful.
Thank you very much. There you
are
go.
clever.
So like I said, now that I remember to do it. So now that we've glued that on, let's just zoom in a little bit. There we go. So I hope you've enjoyed watching me create this 3-dimensional assemblage frame today. If you have, please remember to give the video a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel already, you can do so by clicking the button at the end of the video. That's all from me for now. I will see you all again very soon. Bye for now.